Hi, I'm Brien Lundin, editor of Gold Newsletter, and I am here at the Vancouver Metals Investor Forum. I have the great pleasure of being here with Diane Nicolson of Amarc Resources, who, and Diane has just been able to put out tremendous drill results just yesterday as we speak. Now, I have been recommending Amarc to my readers a couple of years now, at least, maybe more, probably more. And my whole thesis has been that you get people who've done it before and who have discovered big deposits and sold them off to majors. You have this kind of a management team that can attract big money from big companies and look at big targets and hopefully get big results. Well, finally, that recipe, that formula came up with the big results again yesterday as we speak. So you have 3 projects in British Columbia, big copper gold porphyry targets. 2 of those are with major joint ventures with majors, over $200 million potentially committed to drill those projects. A lot of drilling, a lot of meterage in the ground, and an exciting discovery at the Joy project. So I hope I didn't say everything, Diane, but let's hear from you the thesis of Amarc and hear more about the big discovery you just made.
Well, thank you, Brien, for that very kind introduction. It's a privilege to be here with you today, Brien, and be talking to you, especially having put out good results. And really, the success of Amarc is credited to the team. We have put together an exceptional team. Mm-hmm. This is not only on the exploration front, but on the development and the transaction front. Amarc is not a mining company. We are a discoverer, a developer, and a transactor. And our mandate is to discover, develop, and transact the next generation of high-value copper mines in the province of British Columbia. The team that we've put together has done this multiple times before, not only in British Columbia, as you're aware, Brien, but globally, everywhere from Tibet, Alaska, South America. So that's really the foundation. You've got to have a really great team. You've then got to go out and find those projects. Now, we started off with a strategy in Amarc, and that strategy was, who are we going to transact to? So we put together these big districts. They're 100% owned. They're by provincial infrastructure. They have access to power, highway, water, etc. We cleaned up anything that was value destructive on them, and they were all anchored or centered on one or more known copper deposits. But we knew the big districts had potential. They're 500 to 700 square kilometers. And then we had to work out how to finance them, particularly in these tough markets. They take tens of millions of dollars to work these districts, to make these big discoveries. So we went out and we invited Freeport in on Joy and Boliden in on Duke. And together they gave us access to $200 million of non-share dilutive financing, because the money goes into the ground. That's what we want. We're in the game of discovery here. So we're advancing those projects well, and we're self-funding our third one. We did 29,000 meters of drilling this year. But our big discovery and our big news, which has just come out, we've got most of the 29,000 meters yet to unveil through Q1 this year. But the big news you were talking about yesterday was the discovery of the high-grade gold, copper, silver porphyry deposit on the Joy, in the Joy district. And these are it's exceptional. I mean, I'm a geologist. I've worked in the business for decades. And it is really rare to pull holes like this from surface.
Yeah, British Columbia is known for really large, but typically lower grade porphyries, and because of infrastructure and size and more, they work very well. This would have been an exceptional discovery at half the grades that you were getting.
It is, and just to put that into context, Brien, adjacent to our Joy property to the south is the Kemess mining district. Members of the Amarc team actually discovered, developed, and transacted the Kemess South deposit, which was mined out by Northgate back in the day. And the grades there, it was a very viable deposit, very economically viable. They were 0.6 gold and 0.23 copper. What the holes we have pulled out of AuRORA from surface over 200 to 300 meters, this is a flat-lying ore body. They range in gold, the intercepts from 1 to about 6 grams per ton gold. Very strong copper. We're coming out with 0.5% to 1% copper with very good silver. So, on reasonable recoveries that we've calculated from known deposits and development stage projects across the province, because of course we haven't had the time yet to do any metallurgy, we're coming out at about 1 to 3% copper equivalent, and that is from surface.
That is exceptional. Yeah. It's exceptional for any copper gold porphyry, exceptional for that region. And it was exciting to hear some of the backstory that it was fairly late in the season, the discovery hole, and you had to rush in 3 drills. And so you have, although it is a very new discovery, you have 600, at least one section of 600 meters, I believe, already identified of mineralization, correct?
That's correct. And I should backtrack a bit there, Brian, and say this discovery, this area of the Joy District, which is 500 square kilometers, had never, ever been drilled. And there is a big gossanous area there. We flew over it in the early days in a helicopter. We did our survey work. And we did. It was the last of 8 targets we drilled with Freeport
always
this year.
The last one.
It's always the last one. And we couldn't believe what was coming out of the discovery hole. Of course, we didn't know the gold grade, but we had an idea of the copper grade. Can't see the gold in the drill core. And we immediately pulled the other rigs off the other targets, rushed them up to the AuRORA discovery. But we wanted to do this in a very credible manner. So we've set out drilling on fences immediately. The first fence has been released. The second fence will be released here shortly. And then we have some other holes. There's 20 holes in all we got in, but we were right up against the end of the season. Yeah. And, it gets to the point, Brian, where you're pushing it and the safety of your crew is more important, so you pull off.
Well, I can leave some excitement for next season for us, but it's just a remarkable discovery. And again, it's only one of your projects, 2 other world-class projects, one of which you decided to keep 100% within the company. And that is kind of been overshadowed by this discovery, but that's an exceptional potential there. Again, 100% owned. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yes, Brian, that's a great point. Everything gets overshadowed.
Yeah.
This is called the Ike District. And in the Ike District, this is another large district, about 500 square kilometers again. We've made a big porphyry discovery there, copper, moly, silver, but that's not where we went out to drill this year. In any of these big districts where you have multiple deposits, you're always looking for your higher grade starter pit. There were a couple of historical deposits there. They're called the Empress and the Empress East. And the historical holes had pulled out their intercepts like 70, 80 meters, percent copper, a few grams of gold, moly and silver, which gives you copper equivalents of about 1 to 3%. So we've been out there, we've done an assessment of the historical drill core, which allowed us to, place our drill holes this year as well as we could. And we got 9 drill holes done. All of those results are still pending because we were still drilling in the field, believe it or not, in late November.
Wow.
And we were in the snow, and at some point you just have to call it quits. The weather's beaten you, the season's beaten you, and pull off. And none of those results, Brian, have gone out yet.
Okay.
But those results are now being received, and we hope to get them out here later on in Q1.
That brings me to this point. You have obviously a great discovery here, but you have a lot of news still coming up. I mean, how much drilling did you complete this season across all the projects?
We completed 29,000 meters.
Wow.
And every project on the drilling front was expanded. So again, this comes back to, I do a lot of speaking for the company, but I'm backed by an incredible team, which people don't see. They worked very hard in the field. So there is 29,000 meters of drilling. We've just released the first couple of thousand meters. Yeah. So there is a lot to come on Joy. There are our drill results to come out from the initial scout drilling on Duke, where we, in partnership with Boliden, who are great to work with, the Swedish mining smelting house. And we've got our results out to come from our project Ike. But just so everybody knows, I'd speak about the team, but it's pretty rare that major companies allow the juniors to operate.
Right.
and we are operating all 3 projects. So that's not technical, that's everything, environment, health, safety, tax, everything. So it's kudos to the team.
Yeah, yeah. Well, congratulations again. An incredible discovery, what could be the next big discovery seems to be well on its way in British Columbia. And 2 other projects, lots of drilling results coming out. The best sort of catalyst you can ask for a junior mining company. Diane, thank you so much.
Thank you, Brien. It's good to be with you here today.